The Dead Space remake brought back something I thought modern horror games had lost. A heavy, suffocating kind of fear that is extremely terrifying and gives you nightmares even after you finished playing and turned off your PC or console. The kind of fear that isn't just about jump scares or gore, but about tension, atmosphere, and isolation.
Gotta hold the line.
The Necromorphs are still some of the most horrifying creatures in gaming. What always worked about them wasn't just how they looked, but how they moved and stalked you. I mean, they can move between the vents and see where you're going or what you're doing. That's why you feel like something is watching you all the time, or why you often hear strange sounds within the walls without necessarily being attacked. Which honestly makes them even more terrifying because this makes sure you're always tense and afraid to let your guard down. You can't trust any vent or corner, and honestly, after a while I started thinking that I was seeing something move in the distance all the time, even when nothing was there. That's how the game keeps screwing with your mind. The Necromorphs also strongly remind me of John Carpenter's The Thing, so much so that at times I felt like a futuristic version of MacReady dealing with the spawns of hell.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The twitching limbs, the shrieks, the way they sprint at you with that inhuman rhythm, even after being shot to pieces, is extremely terrifying. I mean, even after you cut off their limbs, they still keep crawling at you, which I honestly didn't expect. It felt really scary, but also extremely immersive and cool. I think what also makes the remake so effective is how it treats the story. It's not just a rehash or a blank copy, it digs deeper into Isaac Clarke as a character and gives him a voice, and also makes the whole descent into the madness of the Ishimura more personal. It doesn't overdo it either, it still leaves space for the atmosphere to breathe, but now there's a human core to all of the terror because he also has a voice this time, and the actor did an amazing job. In my opinion, Dead Space stands out because it doesn't rely on cheap tricks and jump scares. Sure, there are a few of them, but they aren't the core focus of the game nor the main way in which it makes you feel scared. Aside from being terrifying, Dead Space also makes you think about what's actually going on, and it forces you to put a bit more effort into uncovering the story. It earns its fear through design and patience. It knows when to let the silence linger or when to let you walk alone in a dark hallway for just a second too long. That kind of restraint isn't seen that often in modern horror anymore. It's the kind of horror that feels handcrafted, like something out of a late night sci-fi movie you'd stumble across on cable, ready to record on a homemade VHS tape. When I first stepped back onto the USG Ishimura, I instantly felt that this game was different from most other modern horror games and even movies. It was like being reminded how terrifying silence can be when done right. Dead Space understands what real dread feels like. The sound design alone is enough to get under your skin. The screams of the ship, the distant beating of metal, the way something moves in the vents just out of sight, or the constant strange whispers that sometimes are barely audible while other times feel like you're losing your mind. It all feels alive and so realistic. The audio in this game is seriously incredible because it does most of the heavy lifting in my opinion. I mean, the Necromorphs are terrifying and scary as hell, especially when they come out of nowhere and attack you. But honestly, a lot of the times I got scared not by them, but by the sounds that you hear on the Ishimura. When some vent breaks or a metal pipe falls down to the floor, either because something creepy is crawling around inside the walls, or just because it was already damaged, Dead Space knows exactly what it's doing, and it makes the Ishimura play around with your mind and expectations. At times, when you think you'll get jump scared or attacked, nothing happens, and the game does its best to stay as unpredictable as possible. You start second guessing every sound and every shadow. It's that kind of slow burn paranoia that games don't pull off often anymore. All of that perfectly harmonizes with the dark visuals of this game. Despite having this futuristic brutalist type art design, it looks stunning and extremely atmospheric in its own dark way. I mean, the graphics here are amazing, not just in how they present the environments, but also when it comes to cutscenes and character interactions. Isaac's facial animations are some of the most detailed I have ever seen in a game, and the whole remake feels extremely cinematic in general, no matter what you're currently doing. It's full of amazing atmosphere that, coupled with the sound design, creates some of the creepiest and tense moments I've ever experienced in a horror game. Everything looks cold, damp and uninviting. You can almost smell the blood and gore in the air. The remake makes sure that nothing looks clean or safe. Every corridor feels like it'll be the last thing you'll ever see. It's claustrophobic in a way that makes you tense up even when nothing is happening.